Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. We have a massive catalyst coming this week for AMC stock that could send the stock much higher. We're going to get into what my expectations are for this specific catalyst. I'm sure you guys know. If you don't, it's AMC earnings. I think this is going to be a very big deal, and I want to let you guys know exactly what I'm expecting. Now, we're also going to look at the option activity heading into AMC's earnings. We're going to get into the stock tracker data. We're going to talk about all of that and much more. So, I don't want to waste your time with a super long intro. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and source your comments, questions, or concerns down below in the comment section. So, if you take a look at the earnings calendar here, you could see AMC reports earnings Wednesday in after hours. That is going to be a big catalyst. Now, this is the first earnings in a very long time in which AMC has not had the court proceeding really weighing over its head. So this is going to be the first earnings in a long time where AMC stock can actually react and trade off of the earnings themselves. Now, we might get new details, we might get new information, things that I simply cannot forecast with you guys. I mean, new ways to bring in revenue, maybe changes to pricing. Who knows, right? There's a bunch of different things AMC could do. AMC could also tell us they're looking to raise capital soon. That's a possibility as well. I don't think that's likely, as AMC is sitting less than $11 per share at the time of recording this video, but that is also a possibility. Now, we have seen AMC actually turn profits in some of their most recent quarters, and the stock literally did nothing. Back here, when AMC recorded a profit, the day after earnings, AMC stock was up less than 0.25%, and then it proceeded to sell off days and days in a row. Back to back did AMC stock sell off. So, I mean, I think this time is going to be a lot different. I think AMC stock is probably going to move higher. That's because the expectations are actually, pretty dang low. Now, expectations for revenue are actually pretty high, but EPS is expected to be pretty dang rough. It says movie theater chain AMC Entertainment is set to release its third quarter Q3 results after the closing bell on November 8th. Analysts are anticipating a stronger quarter for AMC, even though they expect the company to report a significant net loss of 44 cents per share. Wall Street is also projecting revenue to reach $1.23 billion, reflecting 27% year-over-year growth. I don't know where the revenue is going to come in. That seems a little on the high end, considering we didn't have that many films actually go to theaters. We did have the Taylor Swift film go to theaters. We did have, some other films. I believe Barbenheimer was in this quarter as well. So we'll see. I think the revenue is probably going to come in around in line, but I think the EPS is way too negative, the expectation. I think the EPS could be closer to 30 cents, maybe even 20 cents negative, maybe less than that. Hell, you really never even know. AMC, when they turned a profit, they were expected to lose like 36 cents a share and turned a 9-cent profit. So you really never know, but I think AMC is going to do better than the estimates. Okay, now in Q3 of 2019, AMC reported revenue of $1.32 billion. That's 6.8% higher than what analysts are estimating for the most recent quarter. If AMC beats that number on the revenue side, that's going to be a very big deal. Now, if AMC comes in the 30s for their EPS, or loss, like 30 cents or 32 cents, that's probably going to be bullish. If you're in the 20s, that's going to be really bullish. If you're like in the low, like 10s, right? If you're at like a loss of 7 cents or something, that's going to be really bullish. I would expect AMC stock probably rallies 25-35% off of that. If AMC somehow turns a profit, you could see like a 50% rally in AMC stock. And I think that's what we would have seen prior if it was not for this court proceeding that was weighing over our heads. So that's going to be a huge catalyst for AMC stock. But again, that guidance is going to be important. We know we don't have a lot of movies going to theaters, especially not blockbusters, following that prolonged period of striking with the Writers and Actors Guild. So we'll really be counting on some of that forward-looking guidance from the Taylor Swift film as well as the Beyonce film. We know those ticket prices are more expensive, and we know hopefully that did, or will drive more people to theaters. Hopefully AMC just has some positive things to say on that front. And here you can see the actual movies that went to theaters. Barbie was $632 million, by far the best. $322 million for Oppenheimer, and The Sound of Freedom at $183 million. And then everything else was not nearly as impressive. Now, this says, in addition, AMC managed to raise approximately $325 million in new equity capital for its balance sheet through the sale of 40 million preferred shares, combined with the $435.3 million in cash and equivalents reported the previous earnings season. AMC should now have a cash position of approximately $760 million. This article says how Q3 could mark a turning point for AMC. When examining the charts, it's evident that AMC is nearing oversold territory. Despite some fluctuations in recent weeks, the primary relative strength index RSI and money flow index MFI metrics are closely approaching the downtrend line. This proximity suggests significant selling pressure on the stock and the potential for an impending reversal. AMC's RSI, calculated by an average of up closes divided by an average of down closes, currently stands at 31.6. It's also worth noting that a value below 30 generally indicates the stock is oversold. Likewise, AMC's MFI, which detects potential changes in price direction and divergences between the indicator and the price movement, is at 27. Typically, a reading below 20 is considered oversold. Now, he said this when AMC was trading at $10.03. The stock is almost at $11 now, so the numbers look a little bit different. But he does go on to say an earnings report that could be the strongest since the pandemic began is a potential catalyst for a reversal in AMC's current situation. Consequently, there is a good chance that the Q3 results will serve as a turning point for AMC shares, and that turning point could be a bullish one. Now, the RSI currently is at 54.32. It's pretty neutral. 50 is technically the neutral level, but 55 to 45 is really like neutral, right? You start to get a little bit more on the bullish side above 55. When you're over 60, you're pretty dang bullish. When you're over 70, it's usually a pretty good time to take some profits or start, positioning for that downside move. So we do still have some room to run here, and that's exactly what I'm expecting this week. Now, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a fortune teller. I don't have a crystal ball. Do not trade based on anything I say in any of these videos. That's just my expectation. And if I make a trade on it, I make a trade on it. I'm not certain that I will. There's just a lot of different variables here. Again, I think AMC is going to be on the EPS number. I don't know if AMC is going to be on the revenue number. If AMC does come in higher than 2019's revenue, I believe, what was it, $1.32 billion AMC had in Q3 of 2019. That's going to be a big deal. But then again, I don't know what the forward-looking guidance is going to be from AMC. I don't know if they're going to say they're going to, issue shares. If I can make a trade and get some contracts for free, that's potentially what I might do. If you guys want to get access to every time I make a trade and get notified every time I do, link down below in the description of this video. Come join the trading community. But if I were to, put actual money on the line, I just speculate here, I do think AMC stock is going higher. Now, as I have previously mentioned, the high teens are going to be important levels for AMC, specifically around $15 per share. That's a big psychological level. You get close to this gap right here. Potentially, you could fill the gap and run to as high as 20. Now, the gap starts at about 17, technically $16.82, and you could see quite a gap up from there. Now, as high as I think you go is that 100-day moving average. That is at $23.84 per share. Now, if you turn downwards, I mean, I think your downside's pretty limited here. You're still trading at lower than where you were back in January of 2021 when literally everyone thought AMC was going bankrupt. So the stock is really not priced for perfection at all here. I mean, you're trading at some of the lowest prices you have traded at. So I don't think that makes me a genius sitting here and saying an oversold stock that's trading at a multi-year low is going to bounce on earnings. I mean, don't give me any credit at all for that one. That's just simple, investing 101. Now, if we take a look at the option activity for this week, heading into earnings, go ahead and take a look at the bubble chart here. If it will pull up, show as bubble chart, perfect. So what we have is a lot of option activity at the $20 call. Surprisingly, open interest of about 6,400 with volume of 4,000. The $15 call has about 4,300 for open interest and volume of 2,870. The call at the $13 strike is about 5,800 for open interest, volume of about 8,300. The puts are virtually non-existent. There's not a lot of put activity at all for this week. Now, if you look at the open interest on the call side, about 67.64%. If you look at the open interest on the put side, about 32.36%. The put to call ratio is 0.48, so even more bullish than what you're seeing for the next 1,000 days, which we'll look at that put to call ratio in just a second, but keep 0.48 in your mind. I mean, you're not going to find another stock that has a put to call ratio of 0.48. Let me know if you guys do down below in the comment section. I would love to take a look at that stock because it would be a very bullish stock because that's just a super low put to call ratio. That's twice as good as where Tesla's put to call ratio is right now. And if you look at the volume on Friday, about 71.5% was on the call side, 28.41% was on the put side as far as volume of contracts that were trading hands on Friday. And you can see that represented here as well. Positive order value of 73%. You had 21 orders totaling $2.25 million. And again, that put to call ratio is 0.66. And that is the put to call ratio represented over the next 1,000 days. So a very long-term, bullish stance is where investors are currently with AMC stock. Now, if you look at the Stonko tracker data, you do have about 13,000 calls currently in the money, about 33,000 calls out the money. In the money puts at 1,075, out the money puts at about 21,000. So you do have some option activity. The calls are winning out yet again. That's not a big shocker, at least to me. We've seen that over the last multiple weeks. So that's going to go ahead and do it for this video. That's some of my expectations. Again, I don't think I'm a genius sitting here saying, hey, I think AMC stock's going to rally after earnings. The stock is at very low levels, guys. Like, we're not in the 40s or the 50s now. You're trading at your lows you haven't seen since January of 2021. So I think that does set us up for quite the rally and just going to be a very volatile, crazy week ahead. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. What do you think AMC stock is going to do in this upcoming week? I would love to hear your opinions. Nonetheless, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, source your comments, questions, or concerns down below in the comment section. You guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.